Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Kathleen Koch, a contributing editor at The Hill, and this is The Hill Talks, Navigating America's Shipbuilding Future. I'd like to thank our sponsor, BCG, for their support of this discussion. America's shipbuilding industry stands at a moment of renewal. U.S. shipyards maintain that they have the skills, the infrastructure, and workforce to compete globally, and that they're well positioned to meet rising demand for naval and commercial vessels. The industry says that by modernizing production and embracing modular methods, U.S. shipbuilders can meet Navy needs, re-enter the global commercial market, and spark a new wave of industrial growth. The result could be $35 billion in new economic activity and more than 500,000 new jobs nationwide, particularly in states like Virginia, California, Texas, Connecticut, and Florida. What will it take to close naval production gaps and restore U.S. competitiveness in commercial shipbuilding? How can policy, strategy, and industry better align to seize this moment? And what would renewed leadership in shipbuilding mean for America's economy and national security? Well, today we will examine those questions and much, much more. Now, before we get underway, housekeeping note, please join the conversation on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at The Hill Events using the hashtag #TheHillDefense. And with that, I am pleased to introduce my first guest, Republican Senator Todd Young from Indiana. He is co-sponsor of the Ships for America Act, and he's also a member of the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Senator, it's an understatement to say that Congress has a lot on its plate right now, so some might wonder why you're prioritizing right now, maritime, shipbuilding, ports. What is the urgency that you see?
Well, Kathleen, as we learned in a congressional hearing that I participated in just weeks ago here on Capitol Hill, we have lost the ability to manufacture very many commercial vessels in the United States. And because we have historically been a maritime nation, our economy, our way of life dependent on access to the world's markets, that undermines our system here if we don't have the ability to move things abroad and into the country through our own volition. And right now we're dependent on our primary adversary, China. When we need to move various things, we're certainly dependent on other countries that are on the perimeter of China to manufacture new vessels, and we need to regain that capability. Our merchant shipbuilding capability has historically also been important to our warfighting capacity. We need the ability to move men and materiel into harm's way whenever necessary. We also need to have the shipyard industrial base to build new ships and repair our existing stockpile of ships in time of war. So for all those various purposes I unpacked, this is a really important issue. It's a national security-oriented issue that also invokes our economic health as a country.
So, Senator, tell us about the Ships for America Act that you're co-sponsoring. How would it remedy that situation that you just described?
So the Ships for America Act aims to do three things in short. Number one, it aims to invite and attract more investment, foreign and domestic, into our existing shipyards and even into some new shipyards, bringing those into production or restoring shipyards that have fallen out of production all over the country, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of America, East Coast and West Coast. We need more capacity. Number two, it trains our workers, very highly skilled workers, so that they know how to build ships, whether they're commercial vessels or U.S. Navy vessels, in the 21st century. It's very sophisticated work. It requires some good training. And incidentally, these jobs pay really well. And then lastly, we need to make sure that we have a requisite number of merchant mariners U.S. citizens or legal permanent U.S. residents who are trained to man or crew these vessels and move goods during time of peace, move people and material in time of war. This legislation covers all of that entire portfolio of issues that's really required to restore our maritime dominance. And it, of course, invokes a lot of different interests, economic interests, geographic interests, and even some political interests. Because it's so sweeping, we have been able to earn broad-based support, bipartisan in nature, support here in Congress, as well as support in the White House.
Now, Senator, speaking of that impact, I know that most people wouldn't, think of Indiana as a shipbuilding powerhouse, but it actually has a long history in the industry. How would passage of the SHIPS Act benefit states in the Midwest like yours?
It's a great question. It's oftentimes, it won't surprise you, that the first question I get when I'm back home, because memories fade and our economy has evolved over the years, but we are still a leading producer of metals, from aluminum to steel, and some other metals in the country, right there in the state of Indiana. So we'll make more metal, more steel in particular, for vessels should this legislation pass. We're also a leading producer, being the most manufacturing intensive state in the country, a leading producer of various components, mostly automobile components, but components to all kinds of other complicated things, from pumps to motors to you name it. And those will be needed in these very complex and intricate 21st century vessels. We're very trade dependent, more trade exposed in the state of Indiana than other states are. So our economy, again, depends on economic security, depends on the ability of the United States to be less dependent on other countries to move things to and fro. And then I'll say directly, there is an opportunity for Indiana to see maybe a new shipyard established on the Great Lakes. We do rest on just a portion of the Great Lakes, and there's been some interest in perhaps locating a shipyard next to one of our steel mills up north. On the Ohio River, we've also historically had shipyards. And in fact, we were the largest inland shipyard as you approached the end of World War II. And we had a number of shipyards in this country that were inland, that is on the river system. So we have one shipyard that still exists. They produce primarily barges today, but you can imagine them expanding production into some other areas as well. So there will be ample opportunities for the state of Indiana in other states across the industrial Midwest to participate in this program, or these series of programs that we would stand up through the Ships for America Act. Our legislation operationalizes what the president has put forward months ago in his executive order. It was entitled Restoring American Maritime Dominance. And the name sort of says it all. He does hope to, over a number of years, make sure the United States can once again become not just a proud maritime nation, but a sustainable, a powerful, and a well-resourced one. But he's going to need the participation of labor markets all across the country. We find that labor markets have been very tight, meaning there's not a lot of additional workers around our existing shipyards. So we'll need some more Americans to step up during this important moment in history and participate in what will be a multi-generational project. In this case, just over the next 10 years, we need to build 250 merchant vessels. It's eminently achievable, industry and other stakeholders tell me, but we're going to need the state of Indiana and others to sign up and say, you know what, we want to participate in this effort. Here's what we have to offer. And we're all very excited about the possibilities. I just met with a group early this week in the state of Indiana, several counties coming together, trying to figure out how they might play a meaningful part. Their residents might play a meaningful part in revitalizing our shipbuilding industry.
Senator, with Asia and specifically China, as you mentioned earlier, really dominating commercial shipbuilding and global shipping fleets, how tough is it, though, going to be for the U.S. to really re-enter that sector and compete?
It's a very fair question, and there are some skeptics out there because this is a hard problem. But this is our job. I mean, we should spend a lot more time in Washington focusing on hard but unavoidable problems and figuring out how we can solve them, coming up with the best solutions we can, and then if along the way we need to adjust fires, as we say in the Marine Corps, we'll do that. But let me just give you a sense through some numbers how acute this issue is. And I think it will give our listeners and viewers a sense that this problem can't be avoided any longer. China has 5,500 commercial vessels right now in international commerce. So vessels out on the water participating in the global economy. And these vessels make China, if not independent, not very dependent on other countries to engage in international commerce. The United States, we have 80. Many of these vessels are outdated, outmoded, and need to be upgraded, but we have 80. They build or have the capacity to build over 1,000 ocean-going vessels a year. The United States, 5 at very best. This year, I've been told that we've built 1. So we've got a way to go. 250 ships is pretty ambitious. And similar to the CHIPS Act, where we built semiconductors, and I was very involved in that effort in recent years, our objective is not to become independent of other countries. That would be way too expensive. That would be unrealistic and probably not the best thing to do for our economy. But our objective is to take risk out of our existing supply chains by becoming less dependent, by developing enough of our own capacity to get us through a tough moment, a pinch point, whether it's a geopolitical moment or a global pandemic. We need to be able to get through that. 250 vessels takes that risk out of our system. In order to really make sure that we don't just pass legislation, though, but instead make sure it's implemented in a way that brings us success, we're going to have to learn from our friends how to rebuild ships. When the United States stopped prioritizing shipbuilding in the 1980s, we saw shipbuilding move to Japan. The Japanese subsidized their shipbuilding, so it made sense for us to build ships at roughly the same quality, but at a lower cost in Japan. They were subsidized by the government. Their government subsidized these vessels for reasons of economic and national security, the same thing we're trying to do now. And then the South Koreans did the same thing. A decade plus later, they began subsidizing at a very high level. Much shipbuilding gravitated out of Japan and into South Korea. Those two countries, South Korea and Japan, are our friends. They're longtime allies post-World War II. We need to unlock capital, and they have a lot of it because they're rich, successful countries. Capital investment out of those countries into our own shipyards. The president has been doing this in recent months, and learn from them through this process how they build ships. What modern processes are they bringing to bear in their shipyards to drive up quality, to drive down cost, and to make them leading shipbuilding countries in the world. So our partnership, combined with our public policies, combined with executive leadership and focus here in the Trump administration on this problem set, should lead to success in a 10-year horizon.
Senator, as we wrap, you said this is a bipartisan measure. So are there
Yes.
roadblocks in the way? What is keeping it? I mean, it hasn't come up for a vote yet. Are you optimistic that it will and that it will have the support it needs?
I'm actually quite optimistic. I had a conversation with the White House just yesterday, and they are even more bullish than I might have suspected. Every time I've spoken with the president in recent months, he's reiterated his enthusiasm for this broader initiative, making American ships again. So that gives me hope and optimism. I receive a lot of feedback almost daily from labor unions, members of industry, and other stakeholders about their connection with the administration and my colleagues in Congress. So their engagement will be important to make sure we stay focused here in Congress as we head into an election year next year. And then lastly, I think we should recognize that we've spent really the better part of this year. I introduced this legislation late last year, as did some others over in the House of Representatives. We have spent the better part of the year improving the legislation so that it could get easier passage through Congress. We've gotten all kinds of positive and constructive feedback. We're now at the point where it's time to go. The administration, with whom we've been coordinating our efforts, they'll be producing a maritime action plan. That is their operationalization of the president's earlier executive order. What specifically do they think we need to do? We have been working with them, so I think what you'll see in the president's Maritime Action Plan is a either specific reference to the Ships for America Act, my legislation, or they will lay out the substance of what is already in our legislation. So we're all pushing together, and the American people are asking us to do what President Trump campaigned on: big, bold things that capture the imagination, that allow people across the industrial Midwest and really across the country, regular people, to play a meaningful part during this important moment in our history in rebuilding our economy and our national defense industrial base. This does all of that. So it perfectly aligns with political, economic, and national security imperatives, and we're ready to go. This will be a priority as we head into next year. Q1 of next year, you'll begin hearing a lot about shipbuilding, and expect some action from Congress.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator Todd Young, Republican of Indiana and co-sponsor of the Ships for America Act. Great discussion. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Kathleen.